Hi and good evening, and we are back for another session of The Between, our fourth session, I believe. If as a usual quick introduction, The Between is a game of Gothic monster hunters in Victorian London, dealing with some of the shady elements of London, the supernatural, murderers, and the like. The game is by Jason Cordova, published by The Gauntlet. You can find more information about it at the link down below if you are interested. This game is being run as part of The Gauntlet, which is an online gaming community. We get together and play games much like this one. We have a gaming calendar where you can kind of sign up for slots in games that are available on there. We also have a number of podcasts, and we have a gaming magazine called Codex. You can find information on all of that, as well as some of the games we've sort of published as well on the website down below. Hello and welcome, everyone. We will do the usual. I'll just get everyone to do a quick introduction of themselves, their character, and their kind of current situation. And then we'll get into things. As ever, going in reliable catch-keeper order. Jose, if you'd like to kick us off.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jose, and my pronouns are he and him. And I'm playing Lady Camila Betancourt Davies, who is using the Explorer playbook in this game. And she is from a wealthy aristocratic family, widowed from her husband 10 years ago. And she and her husband, and she on her own afterwards, became an avid explorer, extending the boundaries of the empire to foreign shores. But in the process, she came across supernatural occurrences that got her interested in threats closer to home, and so she's come back to London and has begun working with Hargrave House to address some of those threats to Queen and country. Last episode, she traveled to a Molly House to investigate one of the Limehouse Lurker murders of one soft Jimmy, a prostitute. And she managed to get a little bit of information from one of his associates, Francis the Fawn, and also had a little bit of fun herself afterwards with Francis. And that is what she got up to last night.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Elle.
Yes, I'm Elle, pronouns are she, her. I'm playing Fujisawa, the factotum, also she, her. She is a transplant from Japan to London, and she is in the service of our vessel, Priyanka the Lacqua. Although she also helps out around Hargrave House and keeping things tidy, assisting the other hunters. Although it should be known after last session that Priyanka is her one and only true employer. What did she get up to last session? Oh, she was investigating the St. Petersburg mirror. She visited Madam Sorokin at her parlor, and that visit left Fujisawa with some doubts about Madam Sorokin's powers and about who she claims to be. She also had an unsettling encounter with some kind of otherworldly, ghostly entity who she referred to as Kikumi. We don't know who that is yet, though. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. And Brian.
Yeah, I am Brian, he, him, and I am playing Professor Eloise Cockburn, also he, him. Professor Eloise is also the member of the Esoteric Conclave of the Darkened Moon, a secret society of occultists and artists. And yeah, he spent last session digging through books and then tagged along with Lady Camila and snuck off and found another book because apparently that's just what Eloise is all about. And I also took the the additional move biddable last time. So we'll see if that comes up.
Excellent. That should be fun. Brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. We may also have Daryl joining us in a short while as Priyanka Balakwa, but they're running a little late, so we will see when they arrive. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much. So we'll, as ever, go straight in with the day phase. Oh, just as a reminder, because I always forget this. If you want to change your dawn questions now, feel free to do so.
I do have a move that triggers at dawn as well.
Oh, brilliant.
So I took Memory as the Servant. So during the dawn phase, I may tell the keeper I'm claiming a memento, which can be any object from a scene in the recently concluded night phase that I would have reasonably been able to acquire. I think that on the backing of the mirror that shattered in Priyanka's room, there was like this film of milky ectoplasm, which Fujisawa would have gathered very carefully into a vial and tucked into Priyanka's things, almost as like an unspoken apology for the mess that she's made. So I will give that vial of ectoplasm to Priyanka, which gets me 1 XP, but I'll let Daryl know, I guess, when they get here to add it.
Brilliant. Awesome. Thank you. That's perfect. Cool. So with that, as mentioned, we'll be moving to the day phase. Oh, actually, sorry. One other thing in our kind of pseudo dawn phase as we get started. We also, I believe, have a couple of masks that we need narration for. There is one that is that everyone will be narrating, which is the Mask of the Mirror, which is each hunter narrates a memory of someone close to them who died. What message did they never get a chance to give them before their passing? So if anyone wants to narrate either that or one of their a Mask of the Past that they have from last time, feel free to do so now. Otherwise, we'll come back to them later, so there's no rush to do it right now, but just know that you have that option available to you. I must admit, I cannot remember who. I think most. I'm just having a quick look over the masks of the past, and I think most of the ones I can see from people here have been answered already. I think maybe Priyanka still has one to answer, I think, but doesn't. Sorry.
I think I have one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I can do it now if no one else is.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. No, perfect.
Cool. So mine is narrate a flashback to your young adulthood before you were a servant that shows your most significant professional triumph. I think we see Fujisawa as like kind of this gangly young woman, maybe a teenager, in a plain gray kimono. She's sitting in a room with like the shoji, like sliding doors are slightly open, looking out onto this like thriving green Japanese garden. And in her lap is a shamisen, a Japanese lute. And she is kind of plucking at the strings and singing a song. It's kind of warbling. There are lots of like false starts and false notes. And as the plucking continues in the soundtrack, the scene gives way to a montage of Fujisawa in dancing lessons, like a room full of girls. There's a teacher that is like correcting the positioning of their arms with the slap of a fan. We see her getting fitted for an ornate kimono, this like bright green patterned with peach pink Japanese swallows. And throughout this montage, we're like returning periodically to this practice room in the shamisen, with Fujisawa looking a little bit older each time, and her fingers moving across the strings with more and more confidence. The melody and cadence of her singing is more sure. And finally, the final scene of the montage is Fujisawa, no longer a teen, like definitely a young woman this time. And she's wearing the ornate green kimono. Her face is painted this stark white with red lips. Her head is held high despite the immense weight of the immaculately coiffed wig on her head and the hanging hair ornaments. And we see that same dance teacher introducing Fujisawa for the first time by her new name, her geimyul, her professional name is a geisha. And Fujisawa is on this little raised wooden stage in front of a small audience, mostly men, their faces kind of flushed with sake blush. And Fujisawa plays the shamisen with the utmost grace, her singing impeccable.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So that's perfect. Thank you. Does anyone want to do their Mask of the Mirror now, or we can come back to that later?
I can go now or later. It doesn't matter to me. Shall I go now? Okay. All right. So I think that my understanding is each hunter narrates a memory of someone close to them who died.
Yep.
And what message did they never get a chance to give them before their passing? So I think the opening scene is on a ship coming into port into Guyana in northern South America, and we see Lady Camila on the quarterdeck, just watching the ship come in as the ship comes in, watching the approaching port of Georgetown. And then a man comes up, and this Lady Camilla looks somewhat younger, about 10 years younger than our current version, and a little bit less gray, a little bit less wrinkles. And behind her comes her husband, Lord Malcolm, and just places his hand over hers on the railing and smiles as they come in. And then it cuts to an office in Georgetown where Lady Camilla and Lord Malcolm are looking at maps of some bauxite mines that Lord Malcolm has dug, sunk, I guess, in Guyana. That's and he's shipping ore back to England for processing to extract the aluminum, which is quite valuable. So it's been quite a profitable venture, and he's got pound signs in his eyes. I don't know if you could have pound signs in your eyes. And then Lady Camilla, then the next thing is we see her going up the river on an expedition without her husband, and see her talking to the women of the YY tribe. The girl is there, and she's asking about medicinal plants, and particularly ones that can treat malaria and yellow fever, as she describes the symptoms to the women. And then we see her returning to Georgetown, with hurrying up into their home there, with a big smile on her face of triumph, because she's found a potential, not a cure, but a treatment for yellow fever. And yellow fever and malaria have been slowing the advance of the British Empire into Africa and the Americas. And so she's very happy about this. She's looking forward to sharing it with Lord Malcolm. But when she comes into their bedroom, Lord Malcolm is ill, ironically, with yellow fever. And he has a high fever. He's incoherent in his bed, sweating and vomiting up blood. And he's just too far along into the toxic phase of the disease. And the new treatment that she has is of no use to him. And she can't bring herself to tell him of her discovery. And she deflates, and he dies within a day of her return in her arms.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Okay, unless anyone else wants to jump in with another one right now, we'll move on with the day phase. Yeah, you currently have 3 active threats, so I will not be introducing a new one at this time. So just as a quick reminder, the threats you have currently around are the Limehouse Lurker. You have answered the initial question on that, so the question you need to answer is, if it is young, what was the child's home life like before they were turned, which will allow you to resolve the threat by luring the vampire into a scene reminiscent of its home life, and then either destroying it or making arrangements for it to safely feed on a regular basis. And you have quite a few clues for that one, so you're probably close to being able to answer that one, or you are possibly able to answer that one. Indeed. The St. Petersburg mirror, you've answered the question about whether the St. Petersburg mirror is genuine or not, which it is. You have the questions remaining to actually resolve the threat, which are either to I won't read them all out in precise detail right now, but there's basically to prove that Madam Sorokin is a fraud, which is complexity 4, to work out if somebody is working behind Madam Sorokin and manipulating her or using her as a pawn, which is a complexity 4 as well, or realizing that Madam Sorokin is a very powerful psychic, and doing something to bring her under control. And that's complexity 6. So those are the 3 questions for that one. You have 4 clues for that currently, so you're maybe in the getting towards being able to resolve that. And then there's Figs Pigs, which we haven't had. Oh no, sorry, we have one clue for this so far. Figs Pigs, there is essentially some cannibal pie makers on the loose in London, fleeing Scotland Yard. The 3 people in question are Patrick Fig, and to capture Patrick Fig, you need to learn what kind of animal Patrick Fig thinks he is, and lure them out into the open to capture or destroy them. Secondly, you have Obert Fig, and you need to learn what type of victim Obert Fig prefers, which will allow you to lure Obert Fig to you and then capture or destroy him. And then finally, you have La Hortensia Fig, and you have to answer, what did La Hortensia Fig lose that she's trying to recapture or remember? And that will allow you to find her and then capture or destroy her. Each of these questions is only a complexity 2, but you have to resolve all 3 of them to successfully complete this threat. however, you only need to resolve the final. You only need to resolve the final one at night. You can, in theory, resolve the other two during the day. But the final fig that you capture or destroy has to be done at night. So yeah, those are kind of the three threats on your docket at the minute. As ever, if at any point you want to answer a question, we can just do that at any point. We can, if anyone like at the outset thinks that they've already got an answer for a question now, we can leap into that. If people want to do a bit more investigating and stuff first, that's also cool. But I will just go around and ask what people want to do during the day today. So I'll go in reverse order this time. So yeah, Professor, what do you think you might want to get up to during the day phase today?
I guess let's go to the bakery where these pies were being made and take a look around. Sure thing.
Yeah, you know where that is. It has been secured by Scotland Yard, but they're not kind of mounting an obvious guard outside yet, because again they're wanting to avoid too much attention on this. So they've just kind of closed it up. But yes, you will be able to. Sounds cool. And Fujisawa, how about yourself? What do you think you want to get up to today?
I was planning to spend my day with my employer, but they're not here yet. So I think I'll join one of the other hunters. Eloise, do you mind having Fujisawa with you at the pie shop?
No, that sounds fine.
Okay, great.
Awesome. And obviously, if Daryl turns up in a little bit, we can always refigure stuff anyway, or just throw in some extra scenes. So it's not a problem. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And Lady Camila, how about yourself?
I would love to answer that question about the Limehouse Lurker if you all are into that. I don't know if this is the place where I suggest that. Seems like we've got plenty of clues for that one.
We can.
I would hope that we're all here for that.
That's true. Maybe
we stall a bit just to
stall until Daryl comes. Okay,
that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Just maybe during this day phase at some point, it would be fun to do it.
Yeah. It would definitely be good to get that answer before the night phase. So
because then we might be able to resolve it in the night, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. In terms of Lady Camila, let's see. I had some ideas. What do I want to do? I think Lady Camila wants to pay a visit to the Russian embassy near Kensington Palace and talk to Count Orlov, who was very charming at the seance, but she didn't get as much time as she would have wanted to ask him about Madam Sorokin without Madam Sorokin being right there looking over her shoulder. So I think she's going to pay him a visit, because he did say at the end of the evening if she ever wants a tour of the embassy to please stop by. So he's going to take her. She is going to take him up on that offer.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So I think we'll kick off with an investigation of the pie shop. Just to give you a kind of overview of what the place looks like from the outside, it's just a fairly small, very classical kind of storefront with a flat above it where the family presumably live. It has, the big kind of picture window in front, though it's currently got this sort of, there's a, not like obviously one of those like metal awnings, but it does have like kind of the shutters closed across the window at the moment. There is a sign outside with a kind of grinning pig's head, wooden sign outside the front. You will be able to kind of just from a quick, like I said, from a quick look from the outside, you can obviously tell there is there's obviously the front entrance into the shop front itself. There is also a door around the back, which you would presume, given the large chimney breast, is probably the kitchen at the back of the downstairs. And I said, it looks like a flat upstairs as well. But as the two of you arrive and kind of check this place out, how do you think you're going to approach this place? Where are you going to start?
I mean, that back entrance into the kitchen sounds good.
Yeah, I think Fujisawa would follow Aloysius' lead, although I think given that we're sort of looking for personal details about the family, I think at some point she'll want to head up to that flat.
Yeah, sure thing. But yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, if you're both going in together through the back door, that's absolutely fine. You have the keys to the place. You can get in without any issue. The kitchen, there's sort of bundles of herbs and garlic hanging down from the sort of the wooden pegs hanging out of the beams. There's a huge brick oven, like obviously like a kind of professional bread oven type of thing. There's flour like across the worktops, and just like on the dusting of flour across the floor as well. It looks both like it's obviously well used and also probably hasn't been cleaned since obviously they had to make a hasty departure. But we do have a paint scene question from here, which is the figs enjoy working together. What do you see that confirms this in here? So as ever, yeah, feel free to jump in when you have a thought on that.
I imagine that the workspace is like there's a central island where all the figs can be around that space, making dough, a station for making dough, but also for a pot boiling for whatever they're cooking. And there's just a sense like the flow of the kitchen is so that all around, and you can see the wear on the tile of all the feet is all the way around the island, so that they clearly are in each other's orbit all the time when they're preparing the food.
Awesome.
I think that there's a family photograph on the wall, and it's like a little goofy, a little ridiculous. They're all sitting there with flour all over their faces and their clothes and their hands. It's as though they kind of decided to, take a goofy one,
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think they're like, you can see that this they were cranking out a lot of pies, and there's like large tools and containers and things that like a single person wouldn't have been able to like lift. And there's just sheets that have handles on both sides that someone would have to be standing on both sides to to take it and like put it into the oven. And they were working on just multiple pies all at once, and no one person could be doing it by themselves.
Awesome. So yeah, that is the site that you are presented with as you come in here. You will also notice there's obviously there's like a hatchway as well as a door through to the a doorway. It doesn't actually have a door in it, but there's through to the front of the shop where you can see it's mostly a counter, and there's like a few tables and chairs around in the front, but it's more a place to buy food and take away than it is a like a restaurant sort of thing. You'll also see going up a flight of stairs up to the floor above. You will also notice here in the kitchen there is a big classic trapdoor with a big iron ring in it, leading down presumably into a cellar under the kitchen. But yeah, what do you think your first approach is? Fujisawa, are you sticking around to have a look through the kitchen, or are you making a beeline straight for the flat?
I think what we see Fujisawa do, I think she notices this family portrait and kind of lingers in front of it for a moment, kind of smiling to herself despite the grim tenor of the overall situation. And I think she'll turn to Eloise and say, "Isn't it strange? They look so normal, like anyone that you pass on the street. I mean, hundreds of people came to this pie shop not knowing what they were eating, not knowing the depraved souls that were behind these smiling faces. Isn't it strange how you can interact with someone so many times and not know what secrets they hold, even big ones like this?" And she has no idea of the kind of dramatic irony of what she's saying to Eloise here.
You wonder how the two of them found each other. Obviously, a perfect match.
Yes, I imagine it is quite difficult to find a partner who shares your taste for human flesh. Not that I've tried it. And I think as they're having this conversation, Fujisawa has moved on from the portrait and is just sort of looking through cupboards. She maybe opens the oven and peeks in. She's just sort of taking a survey of the kitchen.
I think Eloise is maybe not obviously, but kind of avoiding the actual kitchenware, the oven, and is more looking maybe more for the business side. If there's a desk and papers, or whatever else there might be in here for actually running a business.
Yeah, excellent. So yeah, I think I'll probably ask. I'll ask Fujisawa first if you'd like to make me an information move with reason. I think for this one.
That's a 9.
9. Okay. So I think yeah, I think actually what you find is as you're as you're looking around, you find what strikes you sort of almost the strangest thing about this is just kind of in keeping with what we've seen already. It's just how normal this is. Everything that you kind of see in here is what you would expect from kind of this sort of business. There's nothing strange. There's nothing creepy about it. It's just all very, very normal. What does catch your eye is you see a few dark spots leading from one of the sort of pantry cupboards towards the trapdoor. As you kind of look down at it closer, these dots have, like I said, they've darkened a little, but they're clearly thick and viscous. And as you get close, you can still just faintly smell bitter orange, as it looks like this is marmalade that has been trailed across the floor towards this cellar. And we'll Brian, if you'd like to make the Professor Cockburn, if you'd like to make the information move again with reason as well, I think, for your approach, and we'll see what you get there.
It's also a 9.
Also a 9. Okay. So I think that there is like a the counter is kind of, you can just get straight to the counter from the kitchen to behind the counter sort of thing, and that's where there is kind of a fairly rudimentary ledger there. But it's not individual itemized. It's just got kind of the takes for each day written down in it, kind of thing. There is still like a small amount of money in a lockbox. There's various other bits and pieces. But what you will also find is a box that contains stubs for opera tickets. Lots and lots of tickets for the Royal Opera House down in Covent Garden. Dating back a few years, but it definitely seems like somebody goes to the opera a lot. And those tickets, like I said, the stubs, those tickets are all just piled up in this little box behind the counter with the other bits and pieces.
How can that be linked to occult? I can't think of a good way, so I'll probably just go ahead and list it.
I think as Eloise is finding these ticket stubs, he'll hear Fujisawa calling him over. She is kneeling on the floor next to the trap door, attempting to open it, and is drawing his attention to the marmalade.
Yeah. The trapdoor is quite heavy, but you will be able to open it either with or without aid. But it's quite big and heavy. It creaks a little as you start lifting it up, but it seems again that it's kept in fairly good repair.
Scotland Yard couldn't have missed this when they went through the pie shop. Someone's been here. Maybe not recently. She takes in the color of the marmalade, but recently enough.
Well, let's take a look, and I'll go ahead and head down.
Yeah. So the as you get the trapdoor open, there is a sort of set of wooden stairs leading down. It is dark down there, though. You can. There's a bit of light spilling in from in here, though it's actually fairly dark in the kitchen itself. It's not got like loads of windows in here. You will be able to find a lantern or something to take down with you. But I am going to ask, as you head down into the cellar, Professor, I'm actually going to ask you to make the night move here. When you, as if with the night move, it's when you, I'll remind myself of the exact wording. Yeah, when you do something risky or face something you fear, name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve as you head down into the dark cellar.
I guess I'm afraid I'm going to lose my breakfast, as I remember the bites of pie I had recently.
Yeah. I think it's actually worse than that. You will lose more than your breakfast as you are ambushed by one of the figs hiding out down here in the cellar, and they will they will overpower you and have their way with you before you're able to react. So that will be a roll with composure. If you would like to make that, please. I'll just remind myself, actually, I keep meaning to do this. Do you have any conditions at the moment that would come into play here? No, cool.
Oh, would it make sense to, let me see, because I could use an item.
Yeah, if you've got something you want to bring in, you can do that.
Might make sense. Sure. I've spent this much time thinking about it, so now I have to do it. I think the Hieronymus Bosch drawing, there's a scene, there's just a scene in that is kind of similar to this layout, this situation. That just, yeah. that it reminds him of, and so he's just turns at the right moment to maybe see this coming a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, and
cool.
so then I roll 3d6, right?
That's right, and take the 2 higher from that, and then add your composer, obviously.
Okay, that's an 11.
11, great. We'll come back to you in a moment, but Lady Camila, you are able to, it will take a short while as an undersecretary goes off to locate the cultural attaché, and but it doesn't take long before you're brought in to see him. He is elegantly dressed again. Still obviously has his cigarette holder, kind of, which seems to be kind of a permanent fixture. His office is very nicely decorated. You will notice he has, as you're brought in to see him, he has there is no, he's obviously kind of been prepared to receive you. There's a samovar of tea sort of ready to go, and he will again stand and give you a bow as you enter and say, Lady Camila, a pleasure to see you again. Please do take a seat.
Thank you, Count. So gracious of you to have me here at the embassy. Oh, Daryl's here. Hi, Daryl. Where was I? So gracious of you to have me here at the embassy. It was so lovely talking to you at the seance. Quite an evening it was. Don't you think? Have you been to many of those?
I have been to a few in my time, yes. They are becoming increasingly popular here in the city. I have, as I say, I have been to a few.
Do you have a long association with Madam Sorokin? The gift you gave her was quite extravagant. Thank you for explaining so much of its history to me. I was quite taken with the mirror.
As you say, it is a unique item, but not perhaps a what's what he's looking for, but not a in the grand scheme of things, it is it was not a something I required to keep as part of my collection. And well, to see when I saw Madam Sorokin's work, I thought it might be of use to her. As for our association, it is only since I have come to London that I have met Madam Sorokin. We do not have a previous association.
So Lady Camilla stirs her tea with a spoon. She hasn't put any sugar into it. She likes it black, but she stirs it anyways, just out of habit. As she looks at Count Orlov. Well, you must have been very impressed by Madame Sorokin since you met her here in London. Is it her supernatural gifts that have impressed you so, or something else about her? And I don't know when you want the role. I mean, she is
Yeah,
obviously trying to get information about Madam Sorokin out of him. And I don't know if you want the role now or later. You let me know.
No, I was going to say, I think now is probably the right time for that.
Now is the right time. Okay.
And yeah, I think that will be with presence.
All right. Okay. And oops, I didn't put any dice in. I'll fix that. Let's try it again. It's a 7. Ball's in your court, my dear Count.
Yes, so I think he will say, yes, Madam Sorokin is most insightful. Her gifts are very she has the ability to see more than most others. Indeed, she was able to discover. She was able to no, discover's probably not the right word. She was able to learn of some embezzlement that was taking place in the embassy, and when when I had a reading with her, she was able to provide that information to me, and as a reward for her diligence and her insight, I gifted her the mirror.
Very useful information indeed. Scandalous embezzlement here within the walls of the embassy. Were the culprits brought to justice, I assume?
I have ensured that the situation has been dealt with.
No doubt, in characteristically Russian style.
And
I
he will
admire your people's efficacy in dealing with threats.
Of course. And at that, he will pull out a gold pocket watch and glance down at it and say, I am sorry, Lady Camilla, but I have another appointment, I'm afraid, that I must prepare for. But it has been a delight to speak with you again. And if I can, and obviously the demands of my role notwithstanding, you are always welcome as a guest here.
Thank you so much for your hospitality, Count. Perhaps next time you might show me a bit of your collection. I'm sure if it has items like the St. Petersburg mirror in it, I would find it most fascinating to see more of. But that is for another day, or an evening perhaps. And Lady Camilla turns to leave. Good day to you, Count. And she walks out.
Good day to you, Lady Camilla. So yes, the clue you can have there is evidence of embezzlement. Awesome. So yeah, hi Daryl, and welcome. So yeah, we just to kind of get you caught up on where we're at. We've obviously just gone into the day phase. We don't have a new threat this week, so we were already at 3. Fujisawa and the professor are currently investigating the Figs pie shop. And Lady Camila has just, as overseas, just visited Count Orlov. So what I'll probably do is get an idea of what you'd like to get up to in the day phase today. We'll pick back up with where Professor and Fujisawa were, and then we'll sort of come back around to yourself. So yeah, feel free to like whatever scene you want to have, whether that's with another PC or anything else. That's cool.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that the thing that Priyanka would probably want to get up to is she would probably want to go and maybe visit Madam Sorokin, like just to do like a maybe I feel like Priyanka has not been plugged into the other mystery at all. So like they would probably actually be like, I'm gonna go like try to investigate what's going on with this new power of mine. And so like I think that would just be great to have her like consult a psychic. That would be fun, or maybe like a tense conversation between Fujisawa and Priyanka about the shattered mirror.
Yeah, sure thing. We can absolutely get that that conversation as well, I think. So yeah, cool. So we'll come back to your meeting with Madam Sorokin in a moment, and actually, I'll just check in. Do people want to take a quick break now, or are people okay pushing on for a few more minutes? I'm good either way. Cool. So I'll probably carry on then till about past, and then we'll take a quick break then. Yeah. So yes, Professor, you head down into the cellar. It's dark as you get down, but as you start to as the light sort of spreads around, you start to see. Yeah, it's probably definitely some of what you feared coming down here, but there is definitely a Hieronymus Bosch feel to this place. It's in stark contrast to the normality of the room above. The walls are covered in streaks of dried blood. There's bones scattered about the floor, some of them still with bits of meat still on them, and clearly human bones. Written on the walls in ash, it reads, "All praise the great He Sao." And we have a paint the scene. This is where the Figs victims met their grisly ends. Looking around, how do you know the kills were quick and painless? So yeah, as ever, feel free to jump in any order when you have a thought of a detail you want to bring to this scene.
I think that right underneath that message on the wall about the great Hisao, there's like a kind of dash of sprayed blood that looks almost like it's like underlying or underscoring the words, and the angle and like pattern of the blood suggests a jugular vein swiftly and almost humanely sliced.
Yeah, I think there's kind of on the floor a circle of dusting of white flour that's, you know, kind of followed from the upstairs, and you can see it's still white. I mean, it's trampled, but the blood never, you know, touched it or mixed in with it. It's white flour, dirty, but yeah, the blood all went in one direction and not the other. So it was controlled.
Awesome, thank you.
And I think there's a bottle of chloroform on a small table there with some rags around it. So clearly the victims were anesthetized, knocked out before the killing blow was made.
I was totally going to do it the chloroform like thing, so I'm trying to like think of a new one. Oh my gosh. Maybe it's like there are lots of piles of folded clothes over in an alcove, and for the most part the blood is only around the collars of the shirts. The pants are all still pristinely clean. Undergarments and other linens are well, as clean as the kinds of people that the figs would kill would have their clothes to be, but they are not sodden with blood.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, that is the scene you're presented with as you enter the cellar. It is, as I said, yeah, it is clear that considerable violence, if precise, has been done here. Yeah, Fujisawa, are you sort of following closely behind the professor, or are you sort of staying up in the kitchen?
I think she will have followed the professor.
Cool. I think actually I am going to ask you to make this will probably just be the day move, I think, because the professor has kind of taken the brunt of the danger here. But I think I will still ask for a composure roll for coming down into the killing room, if that's okay.
Sure.
Oh, and what are you afraid will happen if you lose your nerve or fail here?
I think that given what she said about the marmalade having been dripped here after the police made their initial sweep, I think she's worried. She'd be worried that the person who has clearly come back to the pie shop in the interim might come back again while we're still here.
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, if you'd like to make that roll.
It's a 3.
Yeah. So I think you head down into the cellar behind the professor. And as you get to the base of the stairs, you almost think you see something moving out the corner of your eye over in one corner of the cellar, and you kind of turn, look towards it. It's nothing there. It's obviously must just been kind of you know, the shadows moving or similar. But that's when you hear a sound from above, as a figure stands over the stands in the at the top of the stairs leading down. A tall a tall man. He's got a long leather apron on that is covered in blood. Old blood mostly, or oldish blood mostly. He has a thin, oily smile and a butcher's knife that's about as long as your leg. And he smiles his oily smile down at you and says, well, I wasn't expecting this to be so easy, but looks like you've wandered exactly where I want you to be. It's been days since I last got to butcher anyone. And now it looks like I get to do two at once. And he will begin making his way down into the cellar in that kind of confident, unhurried way, raising the blade as he does so.
I'm going to think about whether I want to use a mask.
That is very fair. We will go over to Priyanka while you're thinking about that. So yeah, Priyanka, you make your way to the East London home of Madam Sorokin. This plays out in a very similar way to the previous meetings with her. That you will make your way in. Elsie Tanner will be, as ever, in this kind of waiting room bit, and she'll say, "Good day to you. Good day to you, Miss. I don't suppose you have an appointment, do you?"
I was not aware I needed an appointment. I was told by a friend of mine, a lady Camila, that someone might be very accommodating if I came on short notice. You see, I have quite the spiritual emergency that I would like to consult about.
Yes, I see, Miss. Well, any friend of Lady Camilla's is, of course, a friend of ours, and she will give a very, very patently false smile to you as she once again checks the appointment book and says, "Please follow me, Miss, and I will introduce you to Madam Sorokin," and she'll lead you into the parlor. It's much as before. It's quite fussily decorated. A lot of clutter in here. Madam Sorokin is at her table, the mirror behind her, and Madam Sorokin will look up as you come in. And she studies you closely. She seems a little almost taken aback at your appearance, but she says, "Please do take a seat, Miss Miss Belacqua. I am interested as to what you wish of me. and she kind of cocks her head to one side. You have a connection to the spirits like few I have seen before. I am intrigued to see how I can help you.
And Priyanka settles themselves into the chair. And I want to note that, like, in addition to like the regular white gown, instead of just the white blindfold today, it's like a full white veil. It's almost bridal-like, but it's just shot through with like gold embroideries to especially hide all of their face so that they won't give away any clues. And so reaches across the table and then places our deck of tarot cards onto it and says, "Indeed, you are right, Madam Sorokin. I am something of a fortune teller myself, and yet I've been pulling cards all morning trying to ascertain a certain issue that has been suddenly thrust upon me, and I could not divine my own solution. Therefore, I have come to see if you might be able to tell me something interesting."
Of course. I've rarely done such readings for others with the gift before, but it is not my first time. I will be happy to help you pierce whatever obstacles stand between you and your truth.
So yeah, so like remind me, is like the mirror on the table and she uses it kind of like scrying or something? Is that how she reads?
She does sometimes, though. If you're offering the cards, she will read with those. At the moment, the mirror is still on the wall behind her. But yeah, you have seen when she did the séance with Lady Clara. She had it sort of on the table, flat as it were. But yes, at the minute it's behind her, and yes, she has that. But she will take the cards and go to draw those.
So I'm sorry, I feel like I'm catching up on where we stand on each of these mysteries.
That's okay. So yeah, you have a few clues for this already, but yeah, you don't have like a kind of a definitive number of them yet. So yeah, she will take the cards and begin to sort of cut the deck. And I think I'm going to ask, here, you could either, if you think it's kind of calling on your, I feel like this is probably just going to be an information move using sensitivity. But if you kind of want to specifically bring one of your rituals to bear in it, one of those might work. But I think probably my initial thought is this is probably just an information move.
Yeah, so I'm torn between that or doing a thinning of the veil, which is, I believe, also rolled with sensitivity. Yeah, it is also sensitivity. The cool thing about that is, like on a hit, I get to ask like what is about to happen. So I think I want to try to do that just to kind of also like reorient myself back into what's going on.
Sure thing. No, that sounds good. So yeah, no, by all means. In fact, sorry, bear with me 1 second. I just need to check something. Okay, so yeah. If you wish, you can feel the presence of the St. Petersburg mirror in the room. If you wish to draw on it to, you can make this roll with advantage, though you are aware that there may be consequences for for drawing on an item of arcane power in doing so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think we're a little out of control of our powers right now. They're growing and evolving in ways that we don't quite understand just yet. So we unintentionally, but also as almost like an addict, reach out and tap into the power of the mirror. So
brilliant. Yeah, so I think as you reach out, you can see the mirror starts to, the kind of foggy cloudiness of the mirror starts to almost like swirl behind Madam Sorokin, looking less like smoke and more like the Milky Way or like a galaxy. Not that you have an external perspective for that, but that kind of swirl of stars almost in the mirror behind her, and it's clearly reacting to your will. You can sort of feel that. But yeah, if you'd like to make your roll.
Okay, so I have a sensitivity of +1, and I get to roll 3 dice since I'm doing the advantage.
Yeah.
So that is my 2 highest dice are a 6 and a 2, which makes it an 8, plus the 1 is a 9. So I got a 9.
Yep. Excellent. So I will just double check your move. So yeah, on hit, you may ask what's about to happen, and I will answer truthfully, but not necessarily completely sure. So I think I'm going to give you 2 things that are about to happen here. Madam Sorokin is going to do this reading, and her and I think, keeping it as vague as possible, I think that she is essentially she is going to get the essentially get the right answer with the sort of the what you've posed to her. Uncertain as to whether she's got that because she's drawing on psychic powers or not, who can say, but she is going to get that correct. The other thing that is going to happen is that the void beyond the mirror is going to try and draw you into it. You can feel it reaching out for you as you reach out to it, kind of thing. You can feel that contact, and I think that is where we will take our first break. So if we come back at say 22, and we'll pick things up. We'll pick things up then, and yeah, see where everyone's up to. Cool. See you all shortly. Awesome. So yeah, just to quickly mention that, obviously, yes, for those of you being confronted in the basement by Obert, if you're able to answer his question, you will be able to actually take him on here, if you so choose. If you don't answer the question now, that's fine. You will still be able to fend him off, escape, etc., etc. You just won't be able to kind of bring him down for good. But if you all think you are in a position where you are able to put together an answer to, so again, as a reminder, the question here is for Obert, is what type of victim does Obert Fig prefer? you have then already got half of the what's it. So, but yeah, if you think you can answer that from amongst the clues that you have available to you, then by all means give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, I have a thought about it. I only really know how to use 2 of the clues, which means it would be just rolling even, which is risky, but I mean, that sounds fun to me. I mean,
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, let's hear it.
I mean, my thought is that we, in addition to blood, that Obert has some marmalade stains, and that maybe there were also some marmalade smudges on that pile of Royal Opera tickets. So we know, like, oh, that was Obert going to the opera, and his preferred victims were singers. And we've got Fujisawa sang earlier. We saw, so we've got bait right there, ready to go. Is that all?
Yeah, no, that sounds good to me. I like that. Yeah, the use of the marmalade as being a sort of as tying those to him. I think that works nicely. Yeah, that's cool. Does anyone else have any thoughts or either alternatives or additions to that?
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's children just maybe being lured by marmalade or pastries with marmalade, and also the nursery rhymes could be tied into the children. Why the birds are all crossed out in the nursery rhymes is that I'm not sure of. I'd have to think about that. And we don't know what the operas were that they went to, right? We just know the stubs don't say. Although I could say.
Oh, they may. Exactly. They may do, but yeah.
Maybe the operas are to Hansel and Gretel or something, or to some other opera that involves children in dangerous situations. I can't think of another one off the top of my head except for Hansel and Gretel. Oh, the Pied Piper. Yeah. But I don't know if we want to use 3. Maybe we're good with using 2 and saving 1 for the next fig.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a stretch to try to fit that 3rd one in, and I'm kind of okay with just rolling 2 and seeing how it goes.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Priyanka, Fujisawa, how about yourselves? Do you have a favorite of the two possible ones so far, or a third option?
I think given how excited Obert seems to be to have Fujisawa and Eloise in his trap specifically, it feels like the singers are like kind of people who would be maybe seen at an opera house. Maybe fits a little better. But either one sounds good to me.
Cool. Priyanka, how about yourself? Do you have any strong thoughts either way, or no? Cool. So I think on the balance, then maybe if we go with the singer approach and see how that goes, and then we have another one, the strong contender for next time if that doesn't come through. So yeah, Brian, if you'd like to make a roll, so it'll be a flat roll, so just a +0, and see how that goes.
That's a 3.
A 3. So you are sadly mistaken in your
wishful thinking.
Yeah, in your in your thoughts. So I think honestly, I think the complication here is just going to be that I'll probably give both of you the unprepared condition, as you were not ready for this. So it's going to make things a bit more perilous for you getting out of this situation. If everyone wants to mark a mask, then you can upgrade that to a 7 to 9 success instead. And in which case, I'll probably still give you that unprepared condition, but you will have the opportunity to actually take Oba out. So do people fancy marking a mask for this? This will have to be everyone will have to mark a mask to upgrade the answer a question.
How does the threat mask figure into that? Could somebody use one?
Someone could use that. Yeah, it still only counts as one mask, but it means that one person can use that rather than the than one of their own. And yes, you if it's a failure, then those clues become available again to be used later. So yeah.
4 masks seems like a high price for a 2 complexity question.
Yep.
I'm sure you'll survive. It's fine.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Just duck.
Yeah. Sure thing. So in which case, yeah. You
so I mean, what how I picture this playing out is, yeah, so in the moment, Alois and Fujisawa get the idea that maybe like if Fujisawa starts singing, it will distract him because that's what he's into, and it just doesn't. And then we just got to fight our way past him and run out of here. And I think Alois is going to grab that bottle of chloroform and just throw it at his face. And
awesome. Yeah, so that is cool. So yeah, we will dive in with that. So if you would like to, this will be the day move. I'm not gonna make you a night move here, but as things have already been perilous enough for you all. But yeah, I think that will be a roll with vitality to hurl the chloroform at him. You will be rolling this at disadvantage from the unprepared condition. But yeah, but you are able to do so. So what are you afraid will happen if you lose your nerve or fail here?
I guess that I will miss, and then he'll be coming at us with that butcher's knife.
Yep, absolutely.
Ooh, that's a 10.
10, perfect. You are able to throw the chloroform at him. It's I think he sort of brings the like, you know, just through reflex, he brings the butcher's knife up to swat it away, but it just shatters on the blade, and he gets a face full of chloroform. He is
right. I need to roll one more dice.
No worries.
My bad. Thank you. Okay, so that's a 7.
Okay, so yeah, still all of that still happens, but it distracts him and a little. He's clearly sort of woozy, and you can see it's clearly starting to have an effect on him, even this quickly. It's because he's just got like a face full of it. But he swipes out at you as you sort of go to dodge past him with the huge butcher's knife, and he catches you a gash across your arm, which yeah, if you would like to take a condition of, I think we'll just go with as simple as injured arm. And Fujisawa, what's your reaction here? I'm going to say, from a mechanical point of view, if all you want to do is just get out of this cellar and away from him, you'll be able to do that as part of the action that's just happened. But if there's anything else you want to try and achieve, that might require another roll.
No, I think her priority here is to get out, but I do want to add that when, like, I guess rewinding ever so slightly, when Fujisawa started to sing, and we realized that like this whole thing isn't going to work, she's not a good singer. Like, despite what we saw in the flashback, it's, you know, it's thin, it's like tentative. She was like kind of giving Eloise this like this look of like, I guess also almost like embarrassment, both because it shows that both because of like her actual like low skill level, and also because of what they were talking about secrets earlier. But I think once Eloise makes his move and they're able to get past over, she just makes a break for it as best as she can in her kimono, which is not very well at all.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that's cool. So I think we will leave that scene with the two of you fleeing the pie shop with leaving an angry and possibly slightly woozy Obert Fig behind. So that just brings us back around to Priyanka. Yeah, you get this. Obviously, you get this kind of sensation from the mirror and from your general powers of spiritualism, I guess, that you can sort of sense this pull into the mirror. So I'm going to ask you to make the night move here to resist the lure of the mirror. What are you? And this will be again a roll with sensitivity. And what are you afraid will happen if you lose your nerve or fail here?
So before I answer that question, I do just want to pull the table real quick. The things with the mirror and the sun mask dude are very Lovecraftian, and I'm totally fine to play a little bit more into that, but I know that Lovecraftian stuff is not everyone's cup of tea. Is it okay to lean into that? Okay, I see.
That's cool.
Okay, cool. So then I am afraid that in addition to whatever strange connections I have with powers untold on the other side of the veil here on Earth, that this mirror might somehow establish a connection between me and something on outside of the veil of time and space.
Yes and no. It is worse than that. It won't just establish a connection, but you will be dragged through the veil into the fragrant void beyond. So yeah, if you would like to make that roll with sensitivity, it will be.
So just as a quick question, is the fragrant void a thing that will like end me altogether? Like, is that like a retire your character kind of thing?
Pretty much, yeah. That's
Barely a 7.
yeah. You can feel the that presence beyond. It's strange. You're not entirely sure what the entity is, but there's definitely something there. It wants it can feel your connection, and it wants that connection for its own. Whether to come through or something else, you're not entirely sure, but you just get those sort of glimpses of it. But you are able to resist. I'm going to ask you to take the condition Lure of the Void, but you are able to kind of pull yourself back and into the present kind of thing, where Madam Sorokin is laying out the tarot cards. And you can kind of hear, as you sort of like come back to yourself, you can kind of hear her, giving a reading, and I won't make up some stuff now, but she will sort of essentially be performing a reading as you come back into yourself. And I think there is a moment where she kind of looks up to you as if something was amiss, but she doesn't really say anything properly. And like I said, you do have your face, and that is mostly covered, so she may well have missed your kind of moment of connection with the mirror.
So she's missed that, but like she's now like giving me the reading?
Yes, so, that's correct. Yep.
Okay. So so I do totally want to have like an answer to the question of like, what is about to happen. But I'm like, I want to complicate it a little bit. Okay, let me just double check because okay, so I got a 10. Wait, no, that's right, I got a 9 on the beginning of the veil. So okay, so there's not really a move that I can trigger here, but I think that the flavor that we see here is that like Madam Sorokin's probably like being very professional, like doing the cards, doing the readings, blah blah blah, everything like that. And I think that like with the thing with the mirror and how it like almost pulled me in and how like I was barely able to resist it, I like lash a hand forward and like grab her by the wrist and like pull it back, and I like almost to the point where like we're both like leaned over the table, and then like to the point where she can like see through the veil, and I just whisper, "What's happening to me?"
Excellent. I think I'm going to ask you to yeah, I think it will be I will also make the information move with presence. Feels right here.
That is a 10.
10. Yeah. And she will she will say, the only person that can truly answer that is already in the grave, Miss Belacqua. And she closes her eyes for a moment and says, but that does not mean that you will not be able to ask them one day. And you can take the clue, a secret taken to the grave. And I think that is where we will leave things for our day phase today.
Sorry, real quick,
sorry.
one question.
Yep.
So I know that like we piled a bunch of stuff on there, but technically when I did the thinning of the veil, I was supposed to hear a prophecy about what was going to happen. And then we haven't, or what is about to happen. And then, we rolled that into the mirror roll as well.
Yeah, yep. So yes, sorry. I think because I think because I had a couple of moves there. Yeah, so I think that was essentially the that's kind of that the mirror thing was kind of, although that also feels a bit, because that was kind of answering itself almost. So yeah, I will also say I think, and we'll kind of bring that in now, that you will as Madam Sorokin says that the mirror will shift again behind her, and unlike it has before, it's still got that kind of gauzy, hazy look in front of it, but on the face of the mirror, you will be able to make out blood flowing through the streets of London, being the streets are washed with blood, and dark creatures in the shadows. You basically this will be to kind of extrapolate out from that. You think the Limehouse Lurker is probably on the brink of losing control completely. From your interaction with them before, they definitely seem to still have some semblance of like that themselves, but you think that this is a sign that they are close to losing themselves entirely. Awesome.
Could I have a 30-second vignette? Just
sure.
I feel like I got a lot of time during this day phase. So I think when and I also want to ask a question about whether we're going to answer the question that we waited with Daryl on. But anyways, I think we see as all this is going, the darkness in the basement of the pie shop, the unholy horror trying to suck Priyanka into the mirror, Lady Camilla just steps out into a gloriously sunny day outside of the embassy, and she decides to walk back to Hargrave House through Kensington Gardens. So she's just having the time of her life and contemplating the different threats facing Hargrave House. And as she passes the Serpentine, she sees a crane hunting in the shallows of the water. And she stops to just ponder, and she smiles at its precision and its deadliness as it looks for a fish and maybe actually captures a fish. And then as she smiles, she hears somewhere, she can't tell where, the cry of a falcon in the air. And she turns her head with a frown and looks around, but she can't find where it is. And she leaves troubled.
Excellent. In fact, actually, we even have a paint the scene for St. James's Park rather than Hyde, but it's close enough. So I'll actually do that now because it fits thematically. I think as we see you're leaving. So yeah, St. James's Park is a park between Buckingham Palace and Westminster, a favoured casual rendezvous for diplomats, spies, those who can tell the two apart, and pelicans. So who do you see taking a promenade around the park, and what are they trying to hide? So again, this is for everyone, just as we get this kind of little vignette of Lady Camilla walking through the park.
Sorry, what exactly is the prompt?
Who do you see taking a promenade around the park, and what are they trying to hide?
I wonder if we see Edwin Belmont. Is that his name? The one who's being blackmailed. In another illicit little rendezvous, sitting at a bench, meeting. Eloise, who is your friend? The one you met? I can't remember his name. It is. It is
James Hitchman. You talking about? Or?
Hitchman? Yes, that's the one. That's the one. So a rendezvous between Edwin and Hitchman, and the secret that the prompt was a secret.
Or what are they trying to hide? But yeah,
they're trying to hide the fact that they want to jump each other's bones right there, and they're just making plans for where they'll do it next.
Awesome.
Could we perhaps see Lord Falconberg himself kind of leaning against a tree in the park, kind of strategically placed so that he can see Lady Camilla, but she cannot see him? And he smirks to himself, I suppose, knowing that she won't discover that she's being followed.
Awesome.
There's a Miss Gwendolyn Thompson who has been walking around with a certain older gentleman who shall remain nameless because society doesn't like to gossip like that. But the thing that Miss Thompson is trying to hide most fastidiously is that her hand is actually in the man's trouser pocket and is lifting some coin from it.
Yeah, I think we see a group of people all leaping from some little grove in different directions, tucking the mystic amulet of the esoteric conclave of the darkened night back into their shirts.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Thank you very much. So yeah, with that, we will bring the day phase to a close. We will, so we'll be going into the dusk phase in a moment. The first thing that I'll do before we kick off the dusk phase proper is if you would like to, well, if you would like to answer any questions, but yeah, specifically, I think the one we were talking about answering was the Limehouse Lurker. And like I said, if you think you can answer any others as well, cool. But yeah, if we want to maybe start with the Limehouse Lurker, which is if it is young, what was the child's home life like before they were turned? And that's a complexity of 4. You have quite a few clues for that one, though some of them may be less relevant than others.
I'm thinking, with some of these clues that maybe the lurker's parents were or whoever was the caregivers for them. I don't know if they have parents, but their caregivers were. Anyways, are some kind of religious zealots, and kind of. It says.
The cheap Bibles with Noah and the Ark ripped out.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But there was.
So I was gonna tie that in a little bit too with stories of a victim, Charla Bell, behaving unkindly towards children.
Right, that's the
I
one.
like the idea that maybe the kid was actually raised in like a church orphanage or something.
Right.
And so people who are not their parents being cruel to them for biblical reasons.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
And then a passageway made unreachable by the sun is, they grew up in the cloisters and there were, they probably had one small little cell that, a bunch of them slept in that like had barely any window, and maybe it was in the shade most of the year.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the spiral of blood could be marking because isn't the house the schoolhouse, wasn't that an orphanage, or did we
a workhouse? But
workhouse.
yes, more or less the same concept. So yeah.
So it could be that the spiral of blood is indicating that place.
Yeah, absolutely.
The painting of the sons of another world was like finger painting, maybe. It's like, like their one escape was like imagining like other places that were not this place.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like the idea of if this was in the series, is that bit when you're kind of looking through this chamber that you found, and there's just all these little paintings up on the wall of other places. That's cool. I like it.
Maybe even the chiding is actually like the child imitating like the nuns who used to watch them, talking about like dirtiness and sin and all those things that you shouldn't let in.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm thinking about the spiral of blood, and I've gotten as far as like the drinking of the blood of Christ, communion, and like vampirism connection, but I haven't like quite gotten to the point of like actually connecting them.
Yeah. Though I think as well, just the like physical indicator of location works as well for that clue. Just because that was kind of the context I believe that Priyanka saw it in. Was it did seem to be over something specific, so it might be that kind of indicator sort of.
Oh yeah,
okay,
perfect. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Okay, but also what if it's a spiral?
Yeah.
What if it's a spiral to indicate that the person who who turned the kid was wandering around the neighborhood, and that a part of it was like, you know, take upon you the blood of Christ, and that's how they got turned into a vampire.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
I'll do it. Overdetermined clue.
Yeah,
So that's like all 6 clues.
that is all 6 clues. So yeah, that's a roll with a +2.
I think, is it okay if I roll it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it. Go for it.
It's a 9.
A 9. Sure. You are correct, but there will be a complication. I think the complication in this case is probably what I've already set up. They are losing control. They will be probably more feral and more dangerous than they might otherwise have been. So dealing with them may be more difficult than otherwise it might have been. But you are correct. You will be able to. You are now able to resolve the threat by luring the vampire into a scene reminiscent of its home life, and then either destroying it or making arrangements for it to safely feed on a regular basis. Your choice as to how you resolve that.
Alois, would you be interested in fixing that to a 10?
That is what I
Treacherous little
was
snake.
looking at. But I mean, you know, it wasn't a failure.
All right, you're safe for now.
Awesome. And do you want to answer a question for the St. Petersburg Mirror now? Again, no pressure to do it right now, but if I just noticed you've got quite a few clues for that, so if you think you can have a stab at one of the answers, then that option is available to you. But like I said, we can leave it for the next day if you wish.
I'm fine either way. I mean, if we didn't do it today, then we would be saving it for the next session, maybe first thing, to make sure we get a question answered.
Yeah.
Does anyone really want to do it? We could. We've got plenty of clues.
I think I'm fine either way, but
Yeah.
Maybe something
Yeah.
useful would be to just kind of determine which, unless y'all have already done this, like which of the questions and opportunities you're going for. I see someone hovering over the one that she's a true psychic. So is that the one that people were trying to answer?
I don't think no one had made a particular decision yet. So yeah, I think at this stage, it could be any of the 3 questions that you go for, depending on which one you fancy. So I don't think we'd come to any sort of consensus on that. So actually, I guess, yeah, maybe we won't answer the question now, but I guess I am kind of interested if people have if people are leaning towards one over the other, just in general.
I'm leaning. Oh, I have this. The second one. I mean, I have this idea that maybe it's her assistant who's really the blackmailer. I can't remember her name. Elise or
Elsie. Yeah.
Elsie is really the blackmailer, and she is somehow listening in on the sessions, and she's got the blackmail deal going herself, and that leaves open the possibility that Madam Sorokin, even though she's a pawn, she might still be useful, it says, and we could still recruit her to our cause. But I could also go with the 6 complexity one. I'm not sure how to work the clues into that one as well.
I am personally least interested in the one where Madam Sorokin is just the culprit. So So I would be fine with the other two, though. Of course, I think that the one where she's like a magic time bomb is much more exciting.
Is that the third one you mean? Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's the most interesting one, yeah. But that we might be able to use her.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So that's yeah. I feel kind of the ship has sailed a bit on it just being a con job at this stage.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it might make sense to hold off on that unless
Yeah.
you guys are really, and then we can do it first thing next time.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I mean, she could be a fraud, but the mirror is basically the source of
that is
all her
true. Yeah.
Right.
I was leaning toward her being a fraud, but it also occurred to me that it would make sense if Elsie were behind the blackmail ring as well. But I'm happy with any of the answers.
Cool.
So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. No, in which case, yeah, we will put a pin in that for now. We will. I will.
Dusk.
Dusk phase. Yes, that's it. I was confused because I was in the threat tab rather than the.
I also the threat mask that we still need to. Which one?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So we have I think a couple of mask prompts of varying types to check in on. So we'll do that as part of Dusk. So the first thing is, does anyone have any moves that trigger at Dusk? I believe that continues to be no. We have a couple of moves that will be used, can be used at night, but not specifically trigger at dusk. So that's that. So we'll do a paint the scene question for one of the rooms of Hargrave House. And then, yeah, once we've done that, we'll then do Mask of the Mirror for everyone except Lady Camila, who has done hers already. And Priyanka, did you have a Mask of the Past from last time as well to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So we'll do those. Awesome. Yeah, so for today, yeah, we'll go for that one. And it has some utility as well. So the basement of Hargrave House. This space is cluttered with the belongings of long dead hunters who used to live in Hargrave House. What do you take from it? So yeah, describe what you take from it, and then you can add that to your personal quarters. So yeah, as ever, when you have an idea, feel free to shout out. Oh yeah, and that's cool. Yeah, if you want to roll a couple of masks into one, that's fine.
I think there is a cabinet in the basement with weapons, old weapons, and most of them are kind of in disrepair. Of weapons that hunters have used in the past from Hargrave House. And so as you open the cabinet and it creaks, it's kind of all kind of stuffed in there and cluttered, but back in the corner, I think there is like a butterfly knife that's in surprisingly good shape and quite sharp and gleams unnaturally, actually, that it could maintain its sharpness even after all these years. A balisong, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I could see Eloise being interested in a weapon of some kind after being face to face with that butcher's knife. I think maybe it's just a cane that's like reinforced so that it can be used to block a blade or knock someone upside the head.
Yeah, awesome.
Roughly 5 years ago, there was a certain hunter whose name is long forgotten, but went by Miss Scarlet and Madam Scarlet, and she was, a hunter by day and a lady of the night by night. But sometimes those roles would flip back this way and that way. And so one of the things that Priyanka finds is Madam Scarlet's little ledger of perversions. And it is a roster of various customers that she has had high profile dalliances with.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I think that on a table in the corner of the basement, like right on top of this like dusty old book about lycanthropy, there is an old perfume bottle that is full of like calming animal pheromone.
Nice. Awesome. So that's that. So yeah, we'll do Janus masks quickly. When people are I'll check in Priyanka with you first, because you said you are you good to do yours now?
Yeah, I can. So I would like to use one narrative to cover both of them. So my previous mask in the past was a narrative flashback to your childhood that shows the first time you encountered a dark entity. And then I'm going to also mash that up with the Mask of the Mirror, which is to each hunter narrates a memory of someone close to them who died. What message did they never get a chance to give them before their passing? And so this is a cemetery in London. Priyanka is a little girl, and we're wearing a black dress, and we are standing in the cemetery over a freshly filled grave. And on the tombstone, we see our mother's name with the year, 10 years ago. So when we were still very young, and we are standing there in the rain without an umbrella, and then suddenly the rain stops dripping on our shoulders, and we look up, and the man who was with our mother in the previous flashback is now standing over us, also wearing black, also wearing a somber look on his face. And he places a hand on our shoulder and says, "Little one, I'm so sorry for your loss, but you don't have to worry. I'll always be here to protect you. You can count on your dear uncle to watch over you." And then Priyanka, we lean our forehead into his coat, and we just begin to sob. And then he looks down at us as we are crying. We're completely blinded by our tears and by the rain. And he draws a horribly gleeful smile on his face as his eyes turn black. And it pans from his eyes down, and then we go under the ground, and we go to the grave that is in the ground, and we see our mother laying there in repose until she opens her eyes and sees where she's at, and starts to claw at the lid of the coffin, and screams and bangs on it, but her cries are drowned out by the sound of the thunder. And the message that she was screaming at the top of her lungs, trying to hear, is don't trust him. He is not your uncle.
Thank you very much. Alois Fujisawa, do you have thoughts for your Mask of the Mirror?
Yeah, I can do my masculine there. We see Eloise a few years older than last time, although not all that much larger. And he's in a game of cricket. But I think you see like him standing in the field and, the ball, soaring towards him and a much larger boy running and jumping in front of him and catching the ball. And, scenes like that. And he's mostly just there to meet the required number of players on the field, it seems. But then he is up to bat. He's up last because they had hoped to be ahead at the end of the game, and that him actually taking an at bat would be unnecessary. But they actually are slightly behind, and you just see him holding the bat and then the ball being thrown, and him just like closing his eyes and swinging and actually connecting. And he probably is standing there in shock for a moment before he's teammates yell at him to run. I don't really know how cricket works exactly, but I know you run back and forth. Yeah. And he's able to, despite his wasting time standing there in shock, he manages to run back the couple of times to score the points needed to win the game. So he's, hoisted up on shoulders. There's cheering, and you just see him say, Simon will never believe it. He'll never believe it. But then as they re-entered like the dormitory, one of the schoolmasters sternly walks up and tells him Eloise to follow him to his office, where he delivers the news that his older brother Simon, who was a military officer, has been killed overseas, and that he'll need to prepare to go home to attend the funeral.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And for mine, I think we see Fujisawa like sifting through belongings, like their clothes, these like ornately jeweled hair ornaments, this incredibly beautiful bright green kimono with the silk on the sleeves and the hem like slightly singed. And she like folds the kimono reverently and puts it to the side. And in this pile of things, the camera lingers on a daguerreotype of two women sitting side by side, two Fujisawas, an almost perfect mirror image of each other, except that one has a mole above her lip and one does not. Otherwise, identical twins. And Fujisawa continues sorting through these items, and there are documents, lots of them, and she's sorting through them, keeping some, burning others. And we kind of have a close-up on some traveling papers and an itinerary to England. And I think we see Fujisawa pause when she sees this, and she brings the traveling papers to her lips, like giving them a sisterly kiss almost, and she whispers into them, "Thank you for giving me a new life."
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So we'll take another quick break in a second. If nothing else, I need to go grab some more water. But then we will, our unseen for tonight is going to be Brown's Hotel. I will fill out I will fill out who is doing what for that one. Messed up my order here, but nope, I've put that twice. Cool, that will do for now anyway. So yeah, it will be doing Brown's Hotel, which is in the second column about halfway down. So there are 4 prompts here. So each of them is a single prompt. There's no paint the scene for this one. So I was putting Brian, Jose, Elle, and Daryl for 1, 2, 3, and 4. And yeah, said back in about in a few minutes time, we'll pick back up on that, and yeah, we'll get into the night phase. See you all shortly. Hi, and welcome back. So we will have our unseen set up. So I'm just going to do a quick run round and see what people want to get up to this evening. So, Lady Camila, how about yourself?
I think it makes sense to try to resolve the lurker threat, since it's we know that the lurker is on the verge of losing it. So it seems like Lady Camila would want to be involved in that. And so I think we're trying to recreate something, maybe actually go back to the school itself. Maybe we don't have to recreate it. We just have to be there for it. So to try, because we know that Priyanka also already has some kind of personal relationship with the lurker, and see if we can lure it back and bring it to heel, as Lady Camila would say.
Sure thing. Thank you. And yeah, Fujisawa, how about yourself?
I think I'm going to accompany Priyanka on whatever they do this night phase.
Sure thing, sure thing. Cool. And Priyanka, I'm going to hazard a guess that you're probably going to be involved in the Limehouse Lurker whole situation.
That's right. I want to seize control of my destiny, and I want to, actually feel powerful. So I want to resolve that probably by offering to be the one that the lurker can feed on for, to feel powerful for once.
Awesome, awesome. And Professor, how about yourself?
I mean, I think, I don't know if we've ever all teamed up together on anything, so it seems a shame to miss a good chance to be there for resolving the threat as well. Although I wasn't here that first session, so in a way I kind of the whole time have been less involved with that thread, so it could kind of make sense if I didn't. But
yeah, I mean, like I said, obviously, if you want to show up for that, that's absolutely cool. If there's something else you want to be getting on with, then you can obviously choose to do so. But I'll just go back around and check in with everyone one last time anyway. It sounds like we're all kind of good with resolving the lurker by essentially going to the Limehouse School, using Priyanka as bait, as it were, and controlling it through her blood. Yeah. So yeah, I'll just check in there. I've had a moment to think, Professor, is there are you cool to join in on that, or is there something else you want to do instead?
no, that's good.
Cool. Awesome. So we will start off with Brown's Hotel, unseen. So and this one is again for you, Brian. Brown's Hotel. None of the 117 rooms at Brown's Hotel on Albemarle Street are the same, though they each have housed some of the most fashionable people you'll find in London or anywhere. A concierge, Teddy Miller, delights in spying on the hotel's posh clientele. Brian, Teddy puts his ear up against the door of a wealthy young bachelor. What does he hear that makes him desperately want the life of this young bachelor?
I think the young maid who works at the hotel, who he's been, pining over for some time now, is in the room. He hears her laughing at something Teddy says in a way that he's never gotten her to laugh.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So, I'm interested to hear how are you planning on getting into the Limehouse School? Are you going to try and sneak in, or do you have another plan in mind? Whoever wants to leap in and suggest something, go ahead.
I think Lady Camila has suddenly made a donation to the Limehouse School in the form of a large donation in recent days. So maybe we flash back to her meeting with the headmaster and saying that she can see that a lot of repairs are needed on the Limehouse School, and that she'd like to bring her architect and her engineer by to see what's possible. And it would be convenient if she had a key to the school so that she could give them access when you all are busy with your chores. So I'm trying, I don't know if I have to roll for that, but I'd like that to give us access with a key.
Yeah. I'm wondering, do I want to? No, I don't feel like there's any risk involved in that. I think that's something that you could have quite easily arranged. I'm not going to that. And also, it's further complicated by the fact that in the time since you've spoken with the headmaster, he has been killed. So that is fine. Cool. So you will, the school is a little subdued as you get in. As I said, the headmaster was killed the other evening, the night before last. The night before last, and it's not like there's no like police hanging around, because that's not a thing they really do. But the sort of, there is a bit of an air of fear, I think, in the school. You will be allowed into the building. You will be able to, you'll be able to let yourself into the building. No one stops you once you're inside. Where do you think you're going to go to try and get this, to try and do whatever you're going to do?
I mean, if I just really want to be heavy-handed with it, then probably the chapel. Otherwise, a classroom would be a good place to do it as well.
Yeah, there probably is a little chapel here. It's fairly plain, nothing fancy. As it's just a it's just a chapel in the workhouse. But yeah, there will definitely be a chapel room that's obviously, as well, at this time of night is deserted. They don't have it will be somewhere that's sort of relatively away from where folk are at. So awesome. And I suppose my third question, sort of on the that's going to take us up to where we're going to start bringing the threat to the table, as it were. How and I suppose I will direct this one specifically to Priyanka in the first instance. Are you going to be performing some sort of ritual here? And if so, what's it? And whether or not that, we come to that mechanically, but are you sort of doing some kind of ritual here? And if so, how is that going to look, and what do you need people to do?
Oh, I mean, I think that I will definitely be doing a rite of salt and smoke to trap a specific person or creature. I haven't decided if that means like, temporarily or potentially forever, but I want to lure the vampire to the chapel and then subdue it so that I can offer it the option of, feeding from me exclusively, and then us deciding where we let it stay, versus like if it if it disagrees, then it'll be stuck here in this chapel and we can deal with it as we see fit. But the decoration for this is, of course, I'm also going to be using a personal quarters option. I'm going to use my bloodstained athame to scrawl some sort of like occult symbols across the floor of the chapel, and like to enact the binding ritual.
Awesome. So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that if Priyanka has shared with the group or with Fujisawa specifically, like the full extent of their plans, then I think as Fujisawa is helping to set up this ritual, and helping in this case might be like staying out of Priyanka's way, she will. I think there's a point at which she kind of approaches Priyanka with this look of like utter concern on her face, and she'll say, "Miss, are you entirely sure about this? I mean, you're inviting a parasite to feed on you. I'll happily offer my own blood if that would."
So if you're okay with a little bit of reframing, rather than staying out of Priyanka's way, I would love it if everyone else was doing the blood scrawling, probably on like Alois' direction for the ritual, and like you were administering to my bloodletting so that they could use my blood to paint the ritual seals.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, and so like I just love the idea of like like you're saying like you would let this parasite feed off of you as you're also cutting into me and like letting me bleed. And I think that at this point, we have our sleeve up and we're letting the blood like trickle from the puncture wounds on our wrist, and we're wearing the blindfold again, but we turn our face to you and say basically, "It has been a very long time since I was able to take care of anyone else. This child needs to be taken care of, and I can do it. It's not a parasite, it's merely a child. We all need to be taken care of sometimes."
And Fujisawa, in administering the bloodletting, has Priyanka's wrist like cradled in her palm, and Priyanka would feel kind of the shivers of Fujisawa's fingers sort of absent-mindedly like circling very softly on the skin. And she says, yes, taking care of someone else is a unique joy. I suppose I wouldn't rob you of that.
And Lady Camilla comes over to dip her brush in because she ran out of blood. She needs to wet her brush. And she says to Fujisawa, my dear, you're doing an excellent job here. And this blood is very special. It will be perfect for luring the creature to us. And then she runs off to write some more sigils.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of quite intrigued to see Professor and Lady Camilla, how you both feel about the process of being involved in this magical ritual. Is this something kind of novel for you, or again, bearing in mind the usual restrictions on talking about the past, etc. But do you feel like this is something where you're out of your element, or is this kind of a day in the life of your experience in Hargrave House?
I wonder if Eloise is pretending to be less familiar with some of the aspects of it than he actually is.
Yeah.
I think he's feigning that that he doesn't have firsthand experience with these things, that it's all been theoretical and just read in books.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I like that. Yeah, and Lady Camilla, how about you?
I think maybe we've already seen that Lady Camilla is perfectly at home, might we say,
Yeah.
with this process, and also maybe a little bit intrigued by the results of it. There's a certain scientific curiosity to Lady Camilla, and she wants to see how this works.
Awesome. In which case, then Priyanka, I will ask you to make your roll for the rites of salt and smoke, and then we'll go to our next unseen after that.
So just to double check, I did want to use that bloodstained athame. So as a personal quarters object, I mark that and it gives me an extra +1.
It gives you, you'll roll 3 dice and take the 2 highest. It gives advantage.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Advantage. Right. So okay, and then this is with, I believe, sensitivity, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, sensitivity. So that's a +1 for me. Okay, so I got a 5 and a 3 as my highest, which makes it an 8, plus the 1 is a 9.
Okay, perfect. So I'll read out the result of that. So on a 10 plus magic works without further cost, choose your effect. On a 7 to 9, the magic works imperfectly. Choose your effect and a complication. So I believe you already said you're basically going for trap a specific person or creature. Was the one you said, if I'm not mistaken. So the complications you have available are: the effect is less than you wanted, the effect is short-lived, you take a condition, I'll tell you what it is, the magic draws immediate unwanted attention, or the magic has a problematic side effect. So which one of those would you like to go for? And obviously, if you want to spend a mask to up it to a 10 to remove the complication, that's also cool.
I like the condition. The effect is short-lived, so like, like let's just really like make it like a make or break situation.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds cool. So our second visit to Brown's Hotel. Let's see if I can find the right tab. Sorry about that. Jose, Teddy rummages through the personal effects of an actress staying at the hotel while she is out. What does he find that makes him desire her or desire to be her?
I think he comes across a letter from a fan. And the letter says that, so this fan saw her in a performance of Midsummer Night's Dream as Titania. And he says that he dreamed of her that night. And he himself had donkey ears like Bottom. And she was kissing him. And ever since then, he has not been able to stop thinking about her. He's obsessed with her. And he expresses his willingness to do whatever she wants for an audience. He even says, "I would give my life's blood for you." And I think as Teddy reads this, he just thinks, "Oh my God, what devotion that is! I want to inspire that kind of devotion in people, and that kind of love and obsession."
Excellent. Thank you very much. So I think, yeah, so Priyanka, if you want to tell us what it looks like when you actually perform the ritual, and then I will pick up as our lurker arrives.
Yeah, so now that our hand has been bandaged, we pull out that little black book of Psalms that we had in the last episode, and like what we do is actually we take a little bit of the blood and we smear it across one of the pages, and almost like a palimpsest, the Psalms rewrite themselves to reveal a spell. And so we start to pray the spell under our breath, and we get louder and louder with each repetition. And there are all sorts of strange sounds within the spell, some of them Latin, some of them languages that no one has heard before, and some of them guttural to the point that they don't sound like words anymore, but they what that happens is they cause the blood on the ground to undulate and hiss like oil in water and bounce on the ground. And all of a sudden, once we say the last line of the spell, and last time we slam our hand down on one of the lines, and the blood just jumps feet in the air and then slams down on the ground again and just becomes perfectly smooth and reflective.
Awesome. So I think we see, or perhaps hear first, that the one of the windows up high, it's not stained glass or anything like this, it's a fairly simple little chapel, but one of the sort of almost like skylight type windows shatters inwards as the figure of a small boy, or said probably about 9-year-old, 10-year-old boy, smashes in through this window. Their clothes are already their clothes are stained with blood and grime, and their eyes are wild and like probably that kind of yellow gold, like wolf eye type thing going on. Their skin is pale. Their lips are drawn back into a snarl. Their canine teeth longer than normal, and they will land in the center of this circle, and you can see they're sort of sniffing at the end. They try and pull away from the circle, but it's almost like they're being physically chained, even though there's obviously nothing there. But I think they do. The child does just make a lunge for Priyanka, grasping for trying to essentially to rip out her throat and get it all that tasty blood. So yeah, what I'm going to say, Fujisawa, I'll give you the first opportunity here to act as the creature goes for Priyanka. What do you do?
Oh gosh. I mean, obviously, I have to protect her. This is the one thing that Fujisawa did not want to happen. I think that Fujisawa will try to grab the Athame and perhaps lunge for the creature before it's able to, or they, I should say, is able to reach Miss Balakwa. Not aiming to kill. In fact, he's not sure she can kill it by these means, but certainly to subdue it.
Excellent. Yeah, so this will be the night move. It will be with sensitivity because you're dealing with a supernatural creature. But what are you afraid will happen if you lose your nerve or fail here?
Big picture, she's most afraid that Priyanka will be hurt. Although in the immediate, it probably seems more likely, since she's throwing herself in front of it, that she will be the one to be severely hurt here.
No, it's worse than that. It will just bat you aside and it will feast upon Priyanka. So yeah, if you would like to make that roll. Oh, sorry, I just have a quick check.
Oh, we do have it's a veil, but I can amend that to, instead of trying to harm the creature at all, Fujisawa is trying to sort of pin it down, and to keep it away from.
Yeah, that was kind of the image I had in my head anyway. But yeah, no, that's cool. So I will ask. You will be rolling this at disadvantage for unprepared. I'm afraid.
No
but obviously, if you want to do anything to amend that, you can.
So that's still a 4 and a 2 are my lowest. So it's a 7.
7. That's enough. So yeah, you will get you will get in the way of the creature and prevent it from reaching Priyanka. I think the complication here is that it is when it realizes it can't get past you, it is going to start kind of grappling you, and it will be kind of trying to feed on you instead. You're at the minute you're kind of able to keep it largely in equilibrium, but it has supernatural strength and endurance, and it will overpower you eventually. So yeah, who wants to try and do something about this squalling vampire child?
I think Lady Camilla's. Oh, Eloise, did you have an idea? Go for it.
Well, I have the ability biddable, so I could just be prepared to subdue a vampire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so if you want to use that move, then absolutely you can. How do you think this will look? What do you think you're going to go for? I mean, it will presumably be a night move type situation here, but yeah, what do you? How do you think you go about it, and how have you been prepared?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm given something to say to it, or some. It could be. Yeah, I don't know, some bag of components to wave under its nose, or
Yeah, I like the idea. In fact, yeah, because I think actually, I believe this is the me narrating the flashback to the where you were prepared for this. So I think we'll get a scene where a figure in a classical cowled robe. I feel like this is maybe in a I feel like this is definitely in like a kind of vaulted cellar somewhere. And the figure in the robe says, "We understand your that Hargrave House is on the trail of a vampire terrorizing Limehouse. It would be in our interests if you could ensure it is captured, whole, mostly intact. And they will hand you kind of a scroll and a leather strip with kind of some sigils etched into it. This will help you contain the creature if you need it. There is, we will require you to bring the creature to us. Not permanently, but there is something we need from it. but you will succeed the roll to 12 plus. So that will give you you will successfully kind of drag the creature off of Fujisawa and bind it. Then you will also get an additional benefit. I just always have to remind myself on this one. Yeah. Oh, actually, I know what makes sense here. You can lose the condition unprepared because you have quite clearly been prepared for this. But yeah, if you want to kind of describe how that looks as you bind the creature, and then
yeah, I think he just always goes towards it with this leather band like held out, and for a moment it looks like it's just gonna, pounce on him, but then it's whatever's written on inscribed on it seems to kind of hypnotize it for a moment, and it just freezes, and he's able to secure it around the child.
Awesome. So we'll go to our next unseen. So this one is L. So Teddy draws a hot bath for a pair of good-looking young men staying in the same room. In what ways does Teddy help bring the erotic subtext of this scene to the fore?
I think the camera is following behind Teddy as he enters these two men's room, and we linger on their faces a little bit. Teddy remembers these two from when they checked in. He couldn't help but notice how handsome they both were. And we see Teddy drawing the bath, perfuming it, this like lily-scented steam billowing and fogging the mirrors. And once the bath is ready, he walks back out into the main room of the suite, kind of announces that fact. And when he does, like the tension in this room is like very thick. It does not escape Teddy's notice that the one of the two men who's most Teddy's type, who's like a strapping blonde, like tall and strong, has been like surreptitiously making eyes at him from the moment he entered the room. And before he leaves, Teddy sort of stammers out, is there anything I can do to better serve you today? At Brown's Hotel, we pride ourselves on taking the utmost care of our guests. And he's nervous, but they're like nerves of anticipation rather than dread, because he very much desires what he suspects is coming next. And the blonde smiles and stands and says, as a matter of fact, there's something. And he'll sort of walk over to Teddy, maybe plays with the buttons on Teddy's shirt, and says, why don't you get on your knees for us? And I think that's probably where we cut away.
Sure thing. So the creature, the child, is bound. It struggles for a moment, for a few moments, but then it kind of realizes the futility of trying to free itself. But yeah, what do? You have it under control now, but what are you going to do to actually kind of, I suppose you have it docile is probably the better way to put it in a minute, but what are you going to try and do to actually bring this creature to heel, to borrow Lady Camilla's phrasing?
So I feel like there's like two ways to do this. But like one of them is like, rites of salt and smoke is, I can communicate with someone or something that I do not share a language with, and like try to cut through the bloodlust to like talk to the child within. The other one is, like thinning of the veil, where I could potentially like, sorry, not thinning of the veil, like a beacon in the dark, where it's like, I ask it like, how can I get you to come with me? Like both of them are basically like two ways to the same ends, which is to use my powers to cut through the bloodlust and like try to convince it to come with us.
Yeah, sure thing. I think of those two, probably Rites of Sword and Smoke makes more sense because the other one is more focused on gathering clues. So I think that's probably the more useful of the two in this situation.
So Alois has just kind of found it, and it's made docile by the collar, and like I feel like probably it's it's there on the ground and thrashing about, and so Priyanka like swaying as we walk crosses over the seals, and our dress like trails in the blood and starts to seep up the white, and then like as we get close to it, we pull the bandages off of our hand, and then with our own teeth like wrench open some of the wounds that are there, and then we just lean forward and embrace the child and also put our wrist to its mouth and just whisper in its ear, you is it she says this in Hindu, not in English, but through the power of the magic, it's translated, and she starts to sing a lullaby that her ayah used to sing when she was a child, and the song just kind of like carries through and like like sinks its way into the mind of the vampire child, and through that she's just trying to say, you can be safe, you can be cared for, you can be fed, you can grow to find your way to control this, you can grow to not be at the mercy of every horrible thing that the world did to you. You can find a way to fight back, and you can find a way to stand up, and I can help you with that. And it sounds like these words are very not Priyanka. These words are very much, they sound almost like someone else has said them to Priyanka, but they still are very safe.
Awesome. In which case, I'll ask you to make a roll on Rites of Sword and Smoke, and then once we've got the result of that, I'll then ask you to narrate the last unseen, Daryl.
5.
Okay. So, Teddy returns to his tiny, dingy flat in East London. What we'd see in Teddy's apartment that shows how he tries to incorporate bits of glamour into his dull grey life.
Okay. So, the apartment is very dingy, and outside of the closed window, you can hear from the bar across the street someone playing ragtime. And so what happens is Teddy goes and opens the window and lets the music in, and then opens his closet, and inside we can see some items that he has nabbed from each of the rooms we've seen previously, and other rooms too. And so as he unbuttons his coat and sheds the skin of his day job, and he slips into a silk slip and clumsily applies some rouge to his cheeks and pours himself a glass of wine. He dances around his grimy little hole of an apartment, eyes closed, and he consumes the entire bottle and opens another bottle, and then eventually he's so drunk that he's just rolling around on the floor laughing, slapping his hand in the spilt wine, and pretending that he's someone, anyone, somewhere, anywhere.
Awesome. So you speak to the creature as it suckles at your wrist, and as as you speak to it, as you try and reassure it, you grow steadily weaker, and your vision starts to fade, and the creature says, "Thank you for trying to help me, but I did warn you, it's so very difficult to stop." And the Limehouse Lurker will drain you of the last drop of blood.
I'm going to mark a mask. Just because I want to go all in on this narrative I've started to build. Does anyone else mind if I mark the Gilded Door and take Most Beloved?
Do it.
Okay.
Excellent. So what will instead happen is that you will be able to communicate with the creature. You will be able to bring it back to its non-feral state. There will, however, be a complication from as is normal with rats, salt, and smoke. So I'll just go over those again quickly. The effect is less than you wanted. The effect is short-lived. You take a condition. The keeper will tell you what. The magic draws immediate unwanted attention, or the magic has a problematic side effect.
Do people think it would be more interesting if it had a problematic side effect or if it drawed immediate unwanted attention?
I think both of those have a lot of dramatic potential.
I think I'll go with immediate unwanted attention, just because I'm very quickly crafting some sort of strange relationship with this vampire child, and I don't want it to be the thing that like wraps up my entire character. So maybe we'll just push it along.
And the door to the chapel opens, and in steps a man dressed in a long golden nightgown, or a dressing gown, smoking jacket sort of thing, wearing a gold sun mask. And he will say, "Good evening, everyone. So good to see you all again." And he will step up to you, Priyanka, and say, "Very good, very good. I trust you will take good care of this little one." And he will ruffle the child's hair and say, "He is very special to me, and I will, of course, hold you responsible for his well-being. But I trust you will be a suitable parent to him." And he will blow a smoke ring from his pipe.
I think this may just be too much for Priyanka. I think that we pass out. It's like we are very anemic. We have been overwhelmed by this thing that we have let into our mind and shared, consciousness with, and all of a sudden the opium dude who like royally like messed us up last time shows up. So yeah, like Priyanka just faints.
And Fujisawa rushes to catch Priyanka as they fall.
Well, it is, I suppose, a heavy burden to bear. And we'll turn towards Lady Camilla and say, Lady Camilla, I trust you are doing well.
I'm sorry you have me at a disadvantage. Do we know each other?
To the extent that anyone can truly know another, which in my case is to a deep and profound level. I know you, or I have known you, or I will know you. But what's important right now is that we share this time and space together.
Well, Hargrave House seems to have the situation under control now. Perhaps it's time for us to withdraw, my friends. Fujisawa, can you handle Priyanka in her state?
It wouldn't be the first time.
Eloise, can you bring the child?
Yes.
Well, my mysterious friend, I believe this is where we will say goodnight.
Of course. Well, do have a most enjoyable evening, my friends. Oh, and Lady Camilla, do watch out for the boy. His heart is in the right place, but his head could be better still. Keep an eye out for him. Oh, not this one, the other one. Is indicating the child dismissively.
I will take your words under reflection, my friend. And you have a good evening as well. I'm sure we will.
And with that, he will kind of give a polite nod to everyone and exit the way he came.
Priyanka has some extraordinary friends, doesn't she? Curtain, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's where we will draw things to a close for tonight. Again, sorry for going over slightly. Again, if people aren't too pressed for time, we'll do the dawn stuff quickly while at least the dawn questions while we still have the session fresh in our minds. So first two are easy. You both answered a question and resolved a threat. So feel free to mark those ones off. So I'll go back around again. And Lady Camilla, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, I did. I would give my life's blood for you.
Yes, indeed. Yep. I like that one. Did you have a face-to-face encounter with the mastermind? No, not this evening. Unfortunately, we'll have to get him in again next time. Did you leverage your social status to gain the upper hand?
I think maybe when I made the donation to the Limehouse School.
Yep, I definitely agree there. Fujisawa, did you experience an echo in the night?
I was going for an echo with Priyanka and Fujisawa's conversation about service and Teddy's questions to the guest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you very much. Did you subtly express sexual desire for your employer in the way you dressed them or served them?
I think so while we were preparing the ritual.
Yeah, I'd agree. Did you demonstrate obsequious behavior towards your employer in front of others?
That's what I was aiming for by offering to use my own blood.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. That definitely felt obsequious to me. Awesome. And Priyanka, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, they slamming with the red liquid and making it jump and dance.
Yeah, awesome. Did you have a face-to-face encounter with a dark entity?
Multiple of them.
Yeah. And did you perform a ritual? Likewise.
Multiple of them.
Yeah. Awesome. Did you experience an echo in the night, Eloise?
I don't think so.
No worries. Did you let down Hargrave House while serving your society?
I don't think so.
No, I can't think of anything in specific this time, no. And did you cause problems for your society while helping Hargrave House?
Not yet.
No worries. You do get, so because of the cover-up move, you didn't use your, you didn't disclose your secret clue about the lurker. So you can get something for that. You can either mark 1 XP. Oh no, so you mark 1 XP and can either receive a mastermind clue, add an item to your personal quarters, or uncheck the darkened threshold if you've already checked it.
I'll take a mastermind clue.
Awesome. I'll make a note. I'll probably do that at the beginning of next session. But yeah, that's cool. I'll make a note of that. Perfect. So that is that. Oh, sorry, rewards. So we will on the threat sheet under the Limehouse Lurker. There are a number of rewards. So everyone gets to pick one of these. Each one can only be picked once. A couple of them are a couple of the moves here are ones that add a side character and give a bonus. That bonus, anyone can interact with it. It's just, one person can use their reward choice to unlock them, essentially. So the rewards available for the Limehouse Lurker are: Jenny Johnston becomes a recurring side character. You get 1 extra clue on the information move when you seek her counsel about events in East London. The second one is the Man in the Sun Mask becomes a recurring side character. You get 1 extra clue on the information move when you seek out his counsel about other worlds. Third one is the Vampire becomes a recurring side character. If you resolve the threat by making arrangements for it to safely feed, which you did. The Factotum can add it to the Hargrave House Informals move if you decide to take that at any point, Fujisawa. And then the last 2 are the same. They are a memento from the investigation, ask another hunter what it is, and then add it to your personal quarters. Lady Camila, which one of these would you like to pick?
I'll say the Man in the Sun Mask becomes a recurring side character, and you get 1 extra clue on the information move when you seek his counsel about other worlds.
Awesome.
He wanted to be my friend.
Perfect. And Fujisawa, how about yourself?
I'll add the vampire as a recurring side character.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Cool. Where was that? Yeah, Priyanka, how about you?
I feel like Jenny Johnston becoming a recurring side character is good.
Cool. Professor, you will get to choose a memento from the investigation. So you can ask any hunter, any of the other hunters, to basically name something, and you can add that to your personal quarters. So yeah, choose who you want to pick that for you.
Oh, I guess it was Fujisawa who we've had adventures with. So why don't you pick?
Oh gosh. You already have lots of books in your personal quarters, but I might give you another one. I think you have a book on blood curses and their cures.
Excellent, excellent. The library expands. Awesome. So that is where we will leave things for this evening. So thank you very much, everyone.